If you would like to learn how to create a hidden section in Divi Theme that slides out from the side when you click on a button, then this tutorial is for you. Hi, my name is Ania and my goal here is to help you build awesome websites. And in this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to use the Divi Builder to create a section that is fixed to the side of your screen, but is only visible when you click on a button. So we're going to use some custom CSS and jQuery to achieve that. Let's have a look at my demo page first. So here's the button that triggers the sidebar section here, and you can either close it by using the icon inside or by clicking the button again. Okay, so let's go ahead and recreate that in the Divi Builder. I have a new page created here. It's empty now, so let's start by adding our trigger button. You can't see it, but I have a nice preset I will use. Okay, so instead of click here, I wanted to say open. Okay, and all I need here is custom CSS class, and I will call it DL button toggle. Okay, and now we need to add a new section. Let's add a text module so we can see it better. I'm going to change the section background to black, and in the Advanced tab we're going to change the position to fixed to the top right side of the screen, and we have to change the sizing, so with 300 pixels. I think it will work well both on desktop and mobile, so I'm not going to change that. And we need to set the minimum height to 100 viewport height, so it fills the entire right side of the screen. And one other important part is the overflow. If we are going to add more elements here, if the section is fixed, it won't scroll, so we need to make sure that the vertical overflow is set to scroll if we have a lot of content here. Okay, and this section also needs a custom CSS class. I will call it DL slide sidebar. Okay, great. One next element I will use here is I want to create this X, the close icon. So first, back inside the section, when it's fixed, it may be difficult to access the section settings. So I'm switching to wireframe mode, and now I can see my section here. So in the Design tab, I will remove padding inside this section. So my content inside fills the entire space here. And now for the row, I will make this row full width. And I will also remove padding. Okay, and instead of the text module, I will, let's open up layers panel, I will add not a column, add a blurb module. Okay, we are not going to use any content here, we only want an icon, so use an icon. Locate our X, and now the Design tab. Let's make it a actually black, and let's change the background color to white. And we're going to use different background on hover. Let's make it gray for now. It doesn't matter, but I just want to show you how I did that. So here the blurb module background changes, and in the sizing section we want to set this to fixed size, so 50 by 50 pixel. Sorry, height and width, max height, max width, we can fill those out. And we have to change the icon size. Use icon font size, let's say 30 pixels, or actually 50 will work better. And also let's change the alignment. So again, in the sizing, right aligned. Okay, lovely. And this also needs a custom CSS class, class DL close. Okay, so I have the structure ready, and now we need the jQuery and CSS part. So what I will do is add a new section at the top here with code module. So inside our code module we'll add a script with a jQuery function. Okay, and now here we will first define our variables, because we don't want the jQuery to go through all the elements each time we want to use it. That's why we are going to define the variable, and this way we only need to find it once, and then we can use it multiple times inside our jQuery code. So let's call this DL button toggle, something like that, and that equals a selector, our button selector, which I believe we called DL btn toggle. Okay, and the second variable is our sidebar section. So DL slide sidebar equals, and the class name was DL slide sidebar. Okay, great. So we have our two variables, and we are going to toggle CSS class, and with CSS we'll change the position of the element. So when our DL button toggle is clicked, we will run a function. Okay, and here, so once that button is clicked, we want to add a CSS class, but we also want to remove that class when it's being clicked the second time. So instead of the add class method, we're going to use the toggle class. So DL slides DL, let's copy that. Toggle class is opened. So when we click on a button, opened, the sidebar section will get this new is opened CSS class. Okay, maybe let's start with that. And next, below, we can add our CSS code inside the style tag. When our DL slide sidebar has a class of isOpened, we will move it to the side with the transform property. So transform, translate within the axis minus 300 pixels, minus the width of the section, something like that. And then yeah, it should be good enough, I think. Let's check. Let's save that. I will exit the builder for a moment. Okay, that doesn't exactly work as I planned, but it's a pretty good start and we can fix that easily. So we want to move this not minus 300 but 300 pixel when it's open, but first we have to hide it. So DL slide sidebar, and let's hide it, and then we will remove that movement. But okay, we also hide this in the builder, and it would be very hard for us to edit that section if we can't see it. But luckily there is a CSS class we can use, a CSS class that is added to the body element only inside the visual builder. So we want to target our sidebar section when not in the builder. So there is also a very useful not property. So not etfb, when the body element doesn't have the etfb CSS class, well, not the, we are targeting the slide sidebar. So this actually means an element with a class of DL slide sidebar, which is within the body, which doesn't have a etfb CSS class. We'll add that part here as well. And now if I save that, and let's refresh the page here, the section is hidden at first, and now we are opening and closing. It doesn't slide, but we can fix that by adding a transition. So if we add a transition to our DL slide DL slide sidebar element, like so. Let's save, refresh. Okay, so two problems here. Clicking on a button causes a page refresh, and also the transition is visible on the page load. So let me show you how we can fix that. First, let's add the prevent default method. So we're going to name the event and then prevent default like this. And also we want the transition to be applied only after the first click, not when the document is ready, but when we click on a button. So with the click, let's toggle this class, that works well, but let's also add a new class. So let me copy this, and instead of toggle, this time we are adding a class for good. Let's call it has transition. And now we can move that CSS to the DL. We don't need that, we can use it like so. DL slide sidebar has transition. Let's save. And now hopefully, if I refresh the page, we don't see that section on page load, and it slides nicely because we're only adding the transition with the first click. So yay, that works great. The next part is making sure this X closes the section, and also we want to change the text within that button. So maybe let's do that first. Back here in our click function, we will also toggle a CSS class, but on the button itself. So instead of the slide sidebar, let's use the button toggle. So this element will get the isOpened class when we click on it. And now we can use that. I will create a new function here. I will call it DL sidebar check. And what this function it will check if my DL button toggle has class. There's a has class method. So if this has class this, let's do this, or else this. So that's the structure, and if it has this new class, we will change the text of that element. So it's as simple as that. So there is a text method, and we can say, so when it is opened, we want the button to say close. And then when it doesn't have this class, we want to say that it's we want to say open. And the reason I inserted that inside the function is that I want to use that in a few places. So first we will use that here. When we click, it will toggle the class, and then it will check if it has the class or not, right? So this is needed here. And we'll also want to change that when we then add a function to close the section with the X icon. Okay, so let's save that for now and preview our changes. Open, close. Lovely. So the last element, our DL close blurb module. So back here, we are going to call it only once, so we don't need a variable. Let's not worry about that. Like this, DL close. Let's target our element, and on the click on, we will check for our button if it has or doesn't have the new class. And we also want to hide the section. So we will call all elements that have isOpened CSS class. We need that symbol here, and we simply want to remove that class. Okay, so when we click in on the X, every element that has isOpened class, so our slide sidebar and our button, this class will be removed. And then we are checking if our button has the class, so it won't have the class, and it will say close. That will hopefully work. Let's save that. I hope I'm explaining it right. So again, our final version, open, open. Lovely. One last thing I want to show you. So when I hover over it, because this isn't a button, this is a module, so it doesn't have the correct cursor. So we can change that with CSS, simple DL close, cursor, pointer. That's the little hand. Save, refresh, open, and now we have this nice cursor that looks like it's a link. Perfect. So I hope this was helpful and easy to follow. Please feel free to download this section as a JSON file from my website and also copy all the code I used from my blog post if you'd like to recreate it yourself. And as always, feel free to get in touch if you have any questions, and I'll see you next time.